The hidden room no one spoke about. Most stories of the White House unfold in public spaces, press rooms, corridors, and offices where decisions echo into history. But some stories begin in places almost no one knows exist. And on one quiet afternoon, a room long forgotten revealed a truth that would unsettle the very people sworn to protect it. To understand why this discovery mattered, we have to explore how the White House balances transparency with secrecy. It is a place designed to project openness while safeguarding the most sensitive information in the nation. The building holds centuries of renovations, expansions, and reinventions, each leaving behind pockets of space that outlived their original purpose. Some of these spaces became storage, others became archives, and a few became something else entirely. The origin of this story began with a routine maintenance review. A small team was tasked with inspecting an area the residents rarely accessed, a section tucked between older structural supports and newer additions. The assignment was mundane, the kind of logistical work that never makes headlines. But as they moved deeper into the narrow corridor, they noticed an irregular seam along the wall, one that didn't match any documented blueprint. At first, they assumed it was a simple construction quirk, an artifact of past renovations. But curiosity led them to investigate further. A light tap revealed a hollow space behind the paneling, and after carefully removing a section of the wall, they discovered a doorway sealed decades earlier, hidden behind layers of careful design. The room behind it was small, windowless, and thick with dust that hadn't been disturbed in generations. It contained no modern wiring, no updated fixtures, no signs of recent life. Just the remnants of an era when the building was still adapting to the evolving needs of presidency. But something inside that room did not belong to past. Nestled in the corner lay a single box, intact, undamaged, intentionally placed. And the moment it was opened, the quiet discovery shifted into something far more consequential, something that would soon draw the attention of advisors, historians, and ultimately the president. This was not just a forgotten room. It was a chamber holding a story someone had chosen to hide. The team gathered around the box, unsure whether they were looking at an old archive or the beginning of a problem far larger than their assignment. The contents were simple at first glance. Papers tied with fading twine, a small leather-bound journal, and a set of envelopes whose seals had never been broken. But the age of the materials was unmistakable, and the care with which they had been stored suggested intention rather than accident. Word of the discovery traveled quietly through internal channels. Within hours, senior staff were called to review the findings, each arriving with the same question: how could a room like this exist without any record? The White House was meticulously documented. Renovations were cataloged. Archives were tracked. Yet this space had slipped through every layer of oversight. As the advisors examined the documents, an unsettling pattern emerged. The papers referenced decisions made during a particularly turbulent historical period, a time marked by political upheaval, shifting alliances, and internal uncertainty. Some details aligned with known events, but others hinted at discussions and strategies that had never been made public. Strategies that, if true, revealed a version of history different from the one taught in textbooks. The journal was even more perplexing. Its entries were cryptic, written in a hurried script that suggested secrecy or urgency. The author, whose name was never explicitly stated, described meetings that took place in unrecorded hours, choices influenced by pressures absent from the official narrative. The dates matched known turning points, but the described motivations did not. The deepest concern arose when the advisors turned to the sealed envelopes. Their weight alone hinted they contained something more than handwritten notes. Yet no one dared open them without authorization. They represented a boundary, one that, once crossed, could expose truths long concealed for reasons no one yet understood. Tension spread through the group. If these documents were authentic, they suggested that a prior administration had deliberately removed an entire chapter of its actions from history. If they were fabrications, someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to plant them in a location few would ever find. Neither possibility offered comfort. The president was briefed in a secure room. As the summary unfolded, one question became unavoidable. Why would someone hide evidence of decisions made at such a critical moment in time? And what consequences might follow if those decisions were brought into the light now? The forgotten room was no longer a curiosity. It had become the center of a mystery that threatened to challenge the integrity of historical memory itself. The investigation moved from curiosity to urgency as the implications of the discovery came into sharper focus. Advisors convened in late-night sessions, poring over the journal and documents with growing unease. Each page revealed patterns that contradicted the official accounts of the era. The choices described were bold, sometimes reckless, and carried motivations that had never appeared in public records. If verified, they would not simply alter a chapter history. They would rewrite its foundation. The conflict erupted when analysts mapped the journal's entries against established timelines. Key events that once seemed straightforward now appear to be the product of hidden negotiations and private crises. A few advisors argued that the discrepancies might be misunderstandings, inaccuracies born from the chaos of the period. But others insisted the consistency of the hidden accounts pointed towards something far more deliberate. As tensions rose, two factions formed. One group believed the documents should be examined quietly, away from public eyes, until a full understanding could be reached. They feared the consequences of releasing incomplete or misunderstood information. The other group argued that transparency was the only protection, that history could not be corrected without first being confronted. The divide cut deeper than anyone expected. The president watched this unfold with growing concern. The room that had been sealed for decades now served as a mirror, reflecting an uncomfortable truth about leadership. Every administration leaves shadows behind, intentional or not, but the shadows within that hidden chamber felt different. They suggested a conscious effort to remove decisions from the record, to bury actions that might have reshaped the nation's understanding of its own past. The conflict grew sharper when a historian brought in for a consultation pointed out an overlooked detail. One entry in the journal referenced an unnamed visitor, a figure known in Washington at the time for operating in political gray zones, someone capable of influencing outcomes without ever appearing in official transcripts. If the entry was accurate, then the events described were not isolated mistakes. They were part of a coordinated effort carried out beyond the reach of oversight. That revelation fractured the room. Advisors debated whether digging deeper risked exposing vulnerabilities that adversaries could exploit. Others countered that suppressing the information would make them complicit in the very secrecy they condemned. No one could deny the significance of what lay before them, yet no one fully understood where the investigation might lead. The president demanded complete verification. Teams were dispatched to compare handwriting samples, authenticate paper composition, and trace historical references. Every answer uncovered another question. Every discovery tightened the orbit of the mystery. And with each step, the stakes continued to rise. The turning point arrived when a late-night analysis revealed a direct link between the documents and a pivotal decision from that era, one that had shaped foreign policy for years. This link was not theoretical. It was explicit, detailed, and impossible to dismiss. The conflict that had begun in quiet debate now surged into a full confrontation. Advisors braced themselves for the impact of what they had unearthed, realizing that the hidden room was no longer about the past alone. It was about the present and the responsibility they now carried to uncover the truth. The final analysis confirmed what everyone had feared. The documents were authentic. The handwriting matched. The paper composition aligned to the era, and the historical references, once dismissed as anomalies, fit together with unsettling precision. The sealed envelopes, once open under strict protocol, contained drafted proposals that had never reached the official record. Proposals that, if enacted, would have altered alliances and redirected national priorities for an entire generation. The president absorbed the findings in a silence shaped not by hesitation, but by the gravity of what had been uncovered. The room was no longer merely a forgotten corner of the White House. It had become a doorway into a chapter of history deliberately hidden from public view. And now, the responsibility for revealing or protecting that truth rested squarely on the shoulders of the current administration. The advisors presented their arguments with newfound urgency. Those urging caution warned that exposing these revelations might destabilize diplomatic relationships built on the very narratives these documents contradicted. Nations had forged trust through shared histories. What would happen if those histories shifted overnight? Others insisted that withholding the truth would replicate the same secrecy that had allowed the past to be rewritten in the first place. The country could not move forward They argued on a foundation built partly on omission. The president listened, weighing each perspective with deliberate care. This was more than a political dilemma. It was an ethical crossroads. The hidden room had revealed not just forgotten actions, but forgotten intentions. Decisions made in shadows, never meant for public scrutiny. And now, those buried intentions pressed against the present, demanding recognition. The climax arrived when the president addressed the team with a clarity that ended all debate. The truth, no matter how disruptive, would not remain buried. The administration will pursue a transparent release, methodical, contextualized, and supported by experts capable of guiding the nation through the implications. The past could not be corrected, but it could be acknowledged. And by doing so, the White House could reaffirm a commitment to honesty that transcended political cost. In the hours that followed, preparations began. Historians were briefed. Legal teams reviewed protocols. Communication staff crafted explanations that honored both the sensitivity of the material and the importance of its revelation. The process would be difficult. It would invite criticism, but would also illuminate a truth long denied to light. As evening settled over the White House, the hidden room stood quiet once more, its secrets no longer confined to its walls. The discovery had reshaped not only the understanding of a past presidency, but the character of the present one. And as the lights dimmed across the West Wing, a single realization remained. The stories hidden in silence often carry the greatest power once they are finally heard. Subscribe to join the journey.